Alright guys, welcome back. So this demonstration video will focus on drawing this space in one-point perspective. I'm hoping that with you being in my Art 101 class that you're able to perform this at home, which then gives you access to that space 24/7. If for some reason that your space is too noisy, too much clutter, maybe it's too small, maybe you're in a small apartment, maybe you live in your car, I don't know, then you might want to consider maybe going to a friend's house. You can go to your local indoor mall as a space. Local libraries, the college campus also offers lots of spaces. Starbucks, anything like that where you're going to some space that you can draw the 1-point or a 2-point perspective for this assignment in the course. What I want to show you is that once you have found your space, as long as you're able to establish your horizon line and your vanishing point, then the drawing will go together fairly quickly and very accurately. Okay? So let me take the camera down from the tripod and then I'll show you my station point and how I have that set up. Let's get this out. So what I've decided to do is kind of mock or mimic most likely what you, the student, will be doing on the setup. Remember, I did not ask you to buy an easel, and I pretty much expect most of you not to have an easel, but you remember in most of my videos I use my easel to draw from. So what I've done is the 2-chair method here. So both chairs are facing in the direction of the space. The rear chair is what I'll be sitting in, and then the front chair is what I'll be leaning my drawing board on. Okay? So coming to my station point, and I feel that the sitting position also offers a situation where you're less apt to move. Okay? So at my eye level, looking back into this space, and I'm also positioned in such a manner that I'm in the center of the room, but at this end of the room. So that piece of tape back there is essentially my eye level. And then where it's positioned in the center of the wall is also in respects to where I am in the space at the other end of the room. So for you guys, this is how you're going to find your eye level. So sit in your chair or stand or whatever you're going to do, and you can take a tool like this. This is just a dowel. And the first thing you're going to do is you'll find the center of the room essentially in front of where you're sitting, okay? And again, I've positioned myself in the center of the room. So this basically bisects the room in half. And then I can take this tool and put it out on any of the angles of the features in the room. And you notice that one points to the tape. I bring it up high. That points to the tape. Bring it down to the couch. Points to the tape. So you notice this kind of proves that this vicinity is not only my eye level, but it's also where all these angles for these different furniture pieces are pointing to. Okay? So that's how you find your vanishing point as well as your eye level or the horizon line for this space. Okay? All right. So I got my drawing board and I basically put it in my lap and it just leans against the chair in front of me. Okay? What this is great about is it still provides me with arm's length to my picture plane here to this picture plane here. Okay? And then you probably were like, well, when you bring your hand down, your arm would bend. And yes, it does. So what I can do is I can actually lift this and push it away from me. And then all of a sudden I've got arm's length again. Okay? So the reason why I have it a little bit low is so I can kind of see over it. All right. So the first thing I want to establish is my measuring the ratios of this room. And you can do that based on the back wall that's facing you. And again, this wall is parallel to my picture plane. And again, that picture plane is that imaginary piece of glass that's out in front of you at arm's length. So imagine if there was a piece of glass in front of me, just go clink, clink. So all my measurements would be taken on the vertical or the horizontal. I don't want to, let's say I want to, do the angle of this window, I want to measure it. I don't want to dip my pencil into the space and then make that measurement, because when I bring it here, it'll be inaccurate. It'll actually be short. So again, if I want to measure this, I want to do it on the horizontal and extend my pencil left and right. When I do my sighting of the angles, I don't want to tip my pencil into the space past that imaginary glass, because if I bring that to my drawing, now my pencil isn't flat against this picture plane. So to push that a little bit farther, if I actually tip my pencil to the left to get the angle, and there's that angle, and I bring it to my picture plane here, now the pencil is pretty much laying flat on this picture plane. Okay? So that's what's going to ensure that your angles and your measurements stay a little bit more consistent, along with retaining arm's length. Okay. So I'm going to measure the space. So down here you notice that I've got the plywood wall and then the concrete. So I'm going to put the butt of my pencil there, and I get roughly a pencil length for the height of this. Okay, and then I do that for the width, and I got a pencil and like a quarter. Okay, so I can put this up in the corner, and what I can do is, for you can either keep these measurements and do them verbatim here, or you can increase their size. So for the sake of the time of the video and just to keep things moving in a more quicker way, I'm going to try and just retain these measurements and just apply them verbatim here. Okay, so I'm going to basically set up that space. So a pencil length is what we talked about for the height. So there's that. Just check it one more time. And then for the width, it was a pencil length and a quarter. So let's see. Should have brought a second pencil. That's okay. So let me make a center line to make this a little bit easier on me. I'm just going to make a plus sign. Okay, so a pencil length and a quarter. So something like that. And that looks fairly, yeah, that works. Okay. And then what I want to do is, I now want to basically then square this in, actually rectangle this in, and then best I can using, again, I'm going to freehand this drawing. I don't want to use any tools, straight edges, templates, nothing. Okay. So this rectangle will be essentially that wall. Okay. And then I want to find my horizon line. So looking in my space, what I can do is I can lay my pencil and measure, and then look to see where my taped line is, and it's about halfway through the pencil. So that actually kind of works out. So halfway through here, this would be my horizon line. Let me extend it out. Okay, so back wall, horizon line, and then I do have this line that bisects the center. So and because I'm sitting in the center line, this should be my vanishing point. Okay, so I found all those in the space, and now I've applied those now in my drawing. Okay, so then the next step here is to essentially start putting in angles of the walls coming towards this wall. Okay, so looking at my space, I'm going to bring my pencil up at a vertical, and I'm going to tip the pencil to the left on the angle coming from the corner along the ceiling and the wall, and then keeping arm's length, apply that. Make a mark out here, and then I can stroke a line through those 2 points. And you notice I'm keeping my lines really light, so if I do make a mistake, they're real easy to erase, and then I can adjust the angle. So once I get in these basic angles, I'll show you how to proof those angles. Okay? Come back, and I'm going to do the one over here. Tip my pencil to the little right, lay it on that angle. Bring that down here. Put my pencil butt at the corner. Got that point, and go through, make that angle. Now I have kind of an issue over here where my floor meets the wall. I have furniture obstructing that. So, but over here I can see my angle, so I can actually bring my pencil up at a vertical, swing my arm over here, keeping arm's length, and then tipping the pencil to the right on that angle. And then I can just kind of sway it like this, and I can see it moving towards the back of the room, like that. Okay, you guys see that? I'm going to turn the pencil this way so I can make my mark on my paper. So I'm going to do that one more time. So tipping it, and then kind of following that angle. This is something I learned from Dennis Angel and his approach. And then I can bring that, as long as my arm's at arm's length, and stroke that line through there. Okay. And then this one's going to be a little bit more difficult. So find my vertical, tip my pencil, and then just kind of matching it to the space. What I'm trying to do is visually sight that angle towards the corner. Okay? And then again, I have my pencil the wrong direction, so let me turn my pencil around and redo that. So find my vertical, tip my pencil to the left, get it on that angle, and then I can bring it to my picture plane, arm's length, make that mark, and then from corner through that point, I can do that. Okay. All right, so here's something interesting. We're just going to check these angles. If we bring them down to the center, some of them are slightly off, but that's okay. We have something called human error. So the top two aren't quite coming to that point, and there's something amiss. So what you can do is then check your angles. Not a big deal. So come up, tip my pencil, bring it down, and my angle's off just a hint, but not much. But now I can see why it wasn't quite hitting it. Okay. So let me check this one over here. So tipping my pencil to the left, bringing it down, and there it is. Okay. It wasn't much, but it was enough so that it wasn't right on. Okay. So that's one way that you can check them. If this is correctly placed, then these angles should pretty much converge to this vicinity right here. Okay. All right. The next thing is I've basically laid in my room. I have this back wall. I have these two walls situated. I have my ceiling and I have my floor. Now I'm ready to start putting in the objects in the room. So that means like the architectural details, including like couches, cabinet, countertops, tables, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this window over here. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure roughly, just to get an idea, and I got this distance-ish. All right. Again, this is all pretty close. It doesn't have to be totally fabulous and straight on. And I establish the back measurement, so the back of the window closest to this corner. And then I'm going to look at the space between the window and the corner. And it's pretty minute. And again, I'm measuring on the horizontal and negative. So I've kind of established where that window is. Now I just need to find what this angle is. So one approach is I could come up and then actually sight it and then put it on. The other way is I can actually go from my vanishing point because now I know where the corner is. And then if I'm not sure that that's actually correct, I can go back and proof it. I can sight it. So put my pencil on that, arm's length, bring it down, And look at that, it's pretty much on. So this proves that this has been placed correctly, and it's now going to really help me or serve me well for this drawing. Alright, I'm going to finish the window. So from this distance, I am going to get the height of the rear of the window. And take that. That makes that corner. And then if I just apply from this point through this point, that would give me the window, and then I can check it. So, tip the pencil to the left on the angle, and then bring it down at arm's length, and sure enough, it's right on that angle. Okay. And then I want to get the length of the window. Now I don't want to put my pencil on the angle that it's on. I want to measure on the horizontal. So if I do something like that, measuring on the horizontal, getting that distance, and then I know this is a true vertical, and I can either sight it or I can just use my page edge. Okay, so there's that window. Alright, next thing, let's do the countertop right there. So I can take my pencil and measure down, and I get something like, I do have that backsplash, so it's going to be a little bit, that's something like that. And this gives me the level. Now I measured it back here towards the corner. So I'm just going to make a really light horizontal line. And I actually want this dot to be in the corner. So let me make the corner just a little bit more apparent. There we go. So there will be that dot. Let me get rid of the conflicting line. Alright, now from this point, I'm now going to sight the back edge angle. Okay. Now I can first go from my vanishing point through that, and then if I want to check it, so tip my pencil to the left, bring it down, and sure enough, it's on. Okay. Then I want to measure the length, the back length of my countertop coming out away from the wall. So again, you want to measure on the horizontal. So bring it down. And it's kind of something in that realm. Oops, turn my pencil this way. And I get this line right there. And again, I can throw through my vanishing point, and then I can also check it. So tip my pencil to the right and lay it on there, and sure enough, it hits it. Alright, and then I know that here's the top back corner of my cabinet, and I just bring a straight line down to the floor. That establishes the height of it, and then that gives me the corner here. Now I can sight this angle. So again, I can use my vanishing point and then just strike that through this point, and then I can go and check it. Let me lower my table or drawing. So tip the pencil to the right, and then bring that there, and sure enough, it's on with that angle. Okay. Alright, so my cabinet work is laid in, my window is laid in on this side, so I hope that you're starting to get a pretty good idea of how once you've established your horizon line and your vanishing point, that this should go together pretty quickly. Alright, so for the sake of the video and the time of this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to assume that all this has been done. I think that you're getting the point of how this is done. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to finish out this side and then talk about details and then using that line variation. Okay, so looking back in our space, I've got the two cabinets, and I actually had this cabinet here too, but it looks like this cabinet will probably get cropped out just because of my space. So next thing I want to do is I want to measure the length of these cabinets. So what I can do is I'm going to put my pencil tip on the corner right here, and then I'll move my thumb out till it hits this back corner. And that'll give me the length. And again, I want to measure that on the horizontal. So something like, kind of wave this up and down, something like that ish. And I come to my drawing. I put my thumb here, and then my pencil tip here, and it hits right here, and then I just draw a straight line down. Okay, and then I take my horizontal that's up here, I reference that back here, and that makes the two cabinets right there. So I might actually have space for the wood one here. Okay, so from that point, I then want to measure. You'll notice that I have a sink in between those two, the white cabinets. So both those cabinets are the same length, so I just need to find the center. But what you've learned from my other videos that this cabinet and this cabinet, even though they're the same length, but visually the distortion will actually, as things go farther away, they get shorter and smaller. So I need to just measure what would be the first one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure then the length of it. And I get something to about that effect. So I come back to my drawing. Again, I measured on the horizontal, and I make my mark. So I'm measuring in from this corner, and I made that. So right here, and I draw another vertical line, and then a horizontal line, and then that's where the two cut off. And then there's that sink in between them, and the sink for me, and I don't know if you guys can see it in the camera, but it's a sliver. I mean, it's just this really thin gap. So coming back to my drawing, I'm going to visually cite that and then just call it that. That will be that gap for the sink. Okay. Alright, so there's that cabinet work. Alright, and then I can come here, and I know that these are all horizontal lines, okay? Because I'm looking at it from one point perspective. So I can just strike that across, and then from here, that brings, so here's the end of the two white cabinets, and then this wood one will be right here. And if we look at the wood one, you notice that it's smaller, okay? So as we're looking at that, I can put that in later. Alright, so then in terms of details, then I would basically figure out the cabinet work, which is about here. And if I strike a line through that gives me the top of the cabinets. And strike a line towards the bottom, just, up from the bottom, that gives me those. So just as details, putting in cabinets, and they have a pull drawer per. And then I would come in later and use more of a precision line work, with this handhold. Looking back at my space, I have the two backsplashes. So looking at where those are at, and again, I would kind of judge the top of it, and then knowing it's going to get smaller at this end, so make a really smaller one, and then I can draw a line from my vanishing point to that, and that kind of gives them the two heights. Okay. So those are coming together pretty good. I have this faucet that comes up, so that faucet. Okay, so now these are really coming together. I can show the countertop thickness. So you can see how the details are really coming into play. There's a little bit of an offset here for the cabinets, so that kind of thing. So I hope that you can kind of see now how that would come into play with the details. Alright, now let's talk about the line variation. So you can use line variation to show depth of space. So the premise here is that the lines in the background would be lighter. And as the line variation comes more forward to the foreground, which is here in the lower area, the line gets darker. So if I were to strike a line back here, I would go real light. Let me erase it so you can see this happen. So let me dilute the line just like I did in my line variation video. Okay. And then starting back here, I keep the line light. That comes to that sink, and then I continue, and as I move forward I start asserting more pressure. And then here's this thickness of the countertop. Again, the lines are lighter in the back, so light. As they come forward they get a little bit darker. Okay, so I hope that makes sense as you're doing it. I'm just varying the line. Again, as it comes more forward, it gets darker, and you just assert more pressure. Some of you may find this is a lot easier to do with a combination of your H and B scale pencils. Okay, so this is going to give a really nice sense of depth to this visually, and it'll be more apparent when you look at the drawing from a couple of steps away. Okay, so thanks for watching. So I hope that you got a lot of information from this, and I just want to recap. As long as you establish your horizon line and you establish where your vanishing point is, and then you apply that to your drawing, and if it's accurately placed in this space, then you start with basic measurements and basic sighting, that then once that vanishing point is established, those lines will actually hit your furniture pieces really nicely, and you'll find the drawing will go together exceptionally well as quickly. Okay, alright guys, so good luck to you, enjoy, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.